In section 7.1, we're going to talk about ratios and proportions. The definition of a ratio is a comparison of two numbers using division. So for example, we could write a ratio as 2 to 3 using division. We could also write our ratio as 2 to 3 with a colon instead. And the third way we can write a ratio is using the word 2. So 2, 2, 3. All three of these mean the same thing. We have a ratio of 2 items for every 3 items. Let's look at an example. Number 1, if we draw this picture at the bottom, we have a box, and I'm going to break it up into 8 pieces. And then I'm going to divide that in half again, make 8. And if I shade in 3 of these, the question asks for the ratio of shaded to unshaded in simplest form. So if we have 3 shaded to every unshaded, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That would be 3 to 5. I can write it as this, or 3 to 5 like this. If I write it like this, I can type in my calculator, hit math, enter, and see if it's simplified. And 3 to the 5th can't get any smaller, so that is its simplest form. For unshaded to all squares, our first part is unshaded, so I know I have 5 unshaded squares. And then this time to all squares. There are 8 total squares, so the bottom of this ratio is 8. 5 to 8. And again, that's my simplest form. Okay, let's look at another example of ratios. So in this example, we're looking at triangles. I'm going to label some information on our triangle here. So I'm going to call this A, B, and C, and X and Y. I'm going to say that this segment here, let's just draw it all the way across, is 8. We have 12 and 15 along the top, 8 here, 20 here, and 10 on this side. Okay, so now we have all that information on our triangle. This first part says AX to XB. My first ratio, AX, is 12, so that is going to be on the top of my fraction. Then the bottom says to XB. XB is this part, 8. So if I have 12 over 8 as my ratio, I want to write that in simplest form. I can plug that into my calculator, 12 divided by 8, math, enter, and I get 3 over 2. Okay, so let's look at the next one, AY to AC. AY is right here. We have that is 15. And AC is my whole line here. Oops, that's a C, that's a 10. The whole line. So if this is 15 and this is 10, if I add those together, I'm going to get 25 for AC. So I have 15 over 25. Again, I can type this into my calculator to simplify. 15 divided by 25, hit math, enter, and you should get 3 over 5. Okay, next one, XY to BC. XY is in the middle here. So we have that is 8, and BC is the bottom of my triangle. So that is 20. 8 over 20. Simplify that, and I get 2 over 5. Now that we understand ratios, let's look at proportions. So a proportion is a statement that 2 ratios are equal. And in a proportion, the cross products are going to be equal. So to solve a proportion, we are going to use cross multiplication. So we're going to look at a few examples of this on the next page. So this example number 3 is an example of a proportion. We have 2 ratios that are equal to each other. To solve this proportion, we just read that we could cross multiply. So to do that, I have x times 12, which gives me 12x, and that is going to be equal to 60 times 4, which gives me 240. So I'm cross multiplying to get those numbers, and then I'm going to solve this equation for x. So right now I have 12 times x, so I'm going to divide by 12 on both sides. And that leaves me with x equals 20. And that's my answer. So same thing for number 4. We have two proportions equal to each other. They're not written as the same ratios as number 3, but we just learned that writing a ratio like this and writing a ratio like this is the same thing. So if I change my ratios to make it a little easier to cross multiply, now I can cross multiply. I get 4 times y equals 7 times 8. 7 times 8 is 56. And then I have 4 times y on this side. To get rid of that 4, I'm going to divide by 4 on both sides. So my answer for number 4 is y equals 14. Okay, let's do number 5. Number 5 looks a little more complicated, but we are using the same process. We still have two ratios that are equal to each other, so I'm going to cross multiply. The trick here is to make sure I'm cross multiplying the whole bottom by this number and the whole top by this number. So when I write this out, I'm going to have 3 times 2x minus 5 equals 1 times 2x plus 5. Okay, so now that I have my equation, I can distribute. So when I distribute the 3, I have 3 times 2 is 6x, and 3 times negative 5 is minus 15. 1 times 2x is 2x, and 1 times 5 is 5. Now I can bring all my x terms to the left. And then bring all my numbers to the right. Combine all my like terms. So I get 4x equals 20. If I write this up here so I can do my last step, I have 4 times x, so I need to divide. Get x equals 5. Okay, last one, number 6, says the ratio between Christmas presents given to those received is 2 to 5. If you gave 10 presents, how many did you receive? So my first ratio is 2 to 5. 2 given to every 5 received. So I'm going to write that off to the side. I have given on the top and received on the bottom. So then it also says that if I gave 10 presents, so since I gave 10, those are given, I'm going to put that on top. I want to know how many I received. So that is going to be my x. My received is the unknown. So now I have my proportion set up. My two ratios are equal to each other. I can cross multiply. 2 times x is equal to 5 times 10. Well, I know 5 times 10 is 50. If I divide both sides by 2, I get x equals 25. So that means I received 25 presents.